Welcome back everyone to another video. Now I did say in my previous video if you actually wanted me to cover the Twitter drama that was going on, I would cover it. So we are going to cover that in this video. But first of all, I wanted to look at the ongoing drama with Sony, because things just they are just going from bad to worse. And even though their big arrival of Spider-Man 2 is coming around the corner, their fans are still obsessed with talking about Starfield because they're still salty that it's not on their platform, and now they're on full force with Forza Motorsport, which I do have my thoughts on. I'm going to cover that in a separate video. But as you can see, they don't really care about Spider-Man 2. There's no real care for it. All they care about is hampering on Xbox, which is sad. But this news over here is where we're at. But if you do enjoy this content and do want to support the channel, do consider leaving a like. Let's set that 250 like challenge for you all. I know how you all love those challenges and like to smash those challenges. And also, if you are not yet subscribed, do consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps get the channel and the video that you're watching recommended to other people, because the more likes it gets, the more subscriptions it gets, the YouTube algorithm then shares that video with other people, with wider audiences, to try and get the video out more. Right, with that said, on with the video. So as we can see here, VGC, Sony Interactive Entertainment, has confirmed that around 6,800 current and former employees have had their personal information exposed in a data breach. Now obviously we can see here where Reforge was claiming that it was all bogus, made up, all lies, and now he's gone back into his little cave. I'm not going to say a bat cave because that'd be cool, and he's not cool. So he's basically gone into his little cardboard box and is now trying to hide from the fact that he made a 100% statement that this is all fake news and all bogus. And of course, he's pretty much consuming the L all on his own. Pretty awesome stuff in his regard, but pretty sad stuff when it comes to Sony, right? Because this is pretty awful. Let's see what this actually says. PlayStation confirms data breach exposed 7,000 employees' personal info. The company has been contacting those affected by the unauthorized access, and it's pretty bad. As reported by Bleeper Computer, the PlayStation maker has been contacting those affected and letting them know what happened. According to Sony, the breach involved the MoveIt file transfer platform used by Sony Interactive Entertainment employees, which is developed by third-party IT vendor Progress Software. The people saying that this is only a Sony thing, it is not. It's a Sony Interactive Entertainment, which means PlayStation. Progress announced on May 31st that it had discovered a vulnerability in MoveIt, but 3 days before this, an unauthorized actor had already used the vulnerability to download SIE files, accessing personal information for 6,791 current and former SIE employees based in the United States. Sony claims the incident was limited to this particular software platform and had no impact on its other systems. It's pretty awful, right? On June 2nd, 2023, Sony Interactive Entertainment discovered the unauthorized downloads, immediately took the platform offline and remediated the vulnerability. Sony says in a letter sent to the former employees whose data was accessed, an investigation was then launched with assistance from external cybersecurity experts. We also notified law enforcement. Once SIE identified the downloaded files, we began to process to determine what types of personal information were affected and to whom it relates. While we worked quickly, this was a time-consuming process and we wanted to provide you with accurate information. So it took a while to actually get that information, right? But there is one thing that you do need to understand. If a hacker gets into the system, they're not going to parade about it, right? And as PostUp is saying here, hackers can spend months in a system poking around before announcing themselves because they want to find something that is tangible, something that is useful that they can use as leverage against the company. So that could take weeks, days, hours, months to find. So Sony saying that it was only like a couple of days, I'm not buying it. These people clearly already had access to it for a little while before they announced it, and then Sony went into full defensive mode. Now, Sony confirms data breach. Sony confirms that 2 major data breaches into its systems occurred over the past couple of months, and personal information may have been exposed. Past couple of months. There you go. That pretty much explains it, right? And Sony has confirmed 2 major data breaches occurred this year, with personal information over 6,000 people potentially being exposed. The first breach occurred in May, where 6,791 was taken, individuals in the US, while the second breach resulted in the theft of 3.14 gigabytes of data. Sony is currently investigating both breaches and is offering credit monitoring and identity restoration services to those affected. Now, as you can see, it wasn't just one breach, but it was 2 breaches that happened. Now, what this 3.14 gigabyte of data actually entails, we don't know. Will they release it? Will they not release it? It's really awful. And at a time when Sony just cannot catch a break, they just can't. No matter what they do, they cannot catch a break. Excuse me. It's just one of those things, and no matter what they do, it just seems to go from bad to worse. And, you know, to think that this wasn't possible and for Reforge Gaming to turn around and say it is bogus, despite the fact that Sony has been hacked multiple times now, was a bit of a stupid statement to make. But, well, you know where he is, right? You know where his allegiances are. He would never say something bad about Sony, even if it meant, you know, him losing all of his personal data himself. Right. So, bad times for Sony, but it doesn't end there, right? It doesn't end there. It really doesn't. Because, do you remember Bungie released that thing about the Hispanics and the Latinos and the Latinas and their diversity culture and all of that going along, you know, how they wanted to be inclusive and diversive and appeal to everyone? Well, Bungie is being sued by a former HR manager who says she was fired because she raised a potential case of racial discrimination to her supervisors. Now that... So, where does Bungie actually lie with this whole thing? Now, obviously, this is a case going on. Whether it's true or not is, you know, up in the air. We'll find out soon enough. But the fact is, Bungie is high on their horse. And we know Bungie have done some shady stuff in the past, right? If you know, I think it's Mylan Games, who actually went and did a contract job for them for their law books. And then they basically decided while he was there that they were going to change the law to their liking. And even though Mylan argued that this isn't how the story goes, this isn't how the law goes from Destiny 1, they didn't care. And then they actually told him that he can't even put his name in the law book because, you know, he did the work. He did all the work. He can't put his name in there to get any credit, and he had to leave himself out. And they actually treated him like absolute shite, to the point where he actually came out publicly making a video saying that he would not do that ever again because of how badly he was treated. And then Sony, Bungie came out going, "Oh, we're really sorry about what we did. We didn't mean to, and we were doing what we believed, and we acted on the intel we had, and we were wrong." But, you know, everyone knows that they did it deliberately because they knew that, you know, they are Bungie, right? They can't do no wrong, except for nickel and diming you for everything you've got and trying to keep that addictive nature to actually keep you playing. And for those of you that don't know, they actually hired a top-end casino gambler, psychologist, who basically works on getting you into those casino halls to basically try and win. And when you don't win, the game, you know, the system purposefully gives you that silver herring to make you think that you've won something, but it's very minimal, and it gets you to invest more. And this is the type of people that Bungie have employed to try and get your addiction to Destiny that bit more, to just be that bit more invested. It's a pretty scummy practice. I know a lot of companies do this, but for a company that's standing there, that's saying that they are diverse, they are culturally universal, they are there for the players, They really are not. They couldn't give two shits about you, right? Or this whole diverse thing. It's clear that it never really matters. It's all political points. Let's see the comments. Bungie in the mud. Yikes. Not surprised. I'm everywhere. Bungie HQ right now. Crazy, especially coming from a company who proposes diversity. I'm going to guess she's not a person of color. Oh, so this is why they post so much virtue signaling. Those who yell the loudest are usually trying to hide their real selves. The most racist people in the world are white progressives. I'm personally going to get some heat for this, but the situation addressing James doesn't really explain where his performance lacked, which makes it unclear whether he was being targeted for his race or if he was performing inadequately, but was able to use racial discrimination as a defense. So basically, this person is now white knighting Bungie. I'm gonna sue Bungie for their Latinx twitch. Oh, the irony when corporations want to be seen as virtue champions. Blizzard 2.0, keep the good job, Bongo. As you can see, it's not been a good week for Bungie at all. And it hasn't been a good week for Sony. In fact, it's been a torrid couple months for Sony, and it just seems to be getting from bad to worse. But that's the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. We do have other videos coming along. I will probably try and increase the velocity of video uploads. I'm going to try and maybe get like 2 video uploads a day, one in the morning, one in the late evening, and see how that works. And yeah, because there's a bunch of content that I want to get out, including like Starfield news, and I want to talk about Game Pass, especially with the release of Forza Motorsport and my thoughts behind that. So there's lots of content coming, so hopefully you'll enjoy that too. Do consider leaving a like, and if you haven't yet, do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.